doing anything. They could actually use some of that for investing. And they're like, don't want to risk losing it. Fair enough, Bill and Mary. However, if we don't use it, we're going to lose it. Okay, we're going to die and it's just going to be sitting there and there's no point to that. So could we use it intelligently with minimal risk and be able to speed up our retirement? The answer is yes. So what I suggest, one way they could draw out some of that money is through a line of what? So jot that down, because I'm going to come back to that later. Line of credit. And they could draw out, say, anywhere up to probably $20,000 would be about the maximum. They could draw out in cash if they wanted to and can do whatever they want with that money. Now, some people do that and they go and spend that money. That's not what we're suggesting here. We're only ever going to use that money to invest and invest wisely, so it's going to grow more for us. Okay? And the great thing about a line of credit, raise your hand if you've already got a line of credit on at least one property. Yep. Doesn't take long to set up, does it? Generally? Okay. Yeah, it depends on the bank, but generally they can be set up fairly quickly. It depends on your financials, how much they'll give it to you. Okay. But on property, if you've got a property, you can get money out of property if you have enough equity there, even if you're bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? People say, I can't get money, the banks won't let me get money out of my property. If you have the right contacts, you could be bankrupt and you still get money out of property. Okay? It's just being creative or having the contacts. That $20,000, Bill and Mary said, well, we don't want to risk losing your house. We'll say, well, here's all we want you to do. One, we want you to be prepared for investing. Many people at the time, it takes just getting organised. Two, you want to be looking for investment opportunities if you want to become wealthy. Or have people looking for you so they bring them to you. And three, you need to be able to make a decision and take action. Those two things hold most people back. So Bill and Mary had that setting up. For instance, there was give an example of an investment opportunity. There was a house worth over $50,000 in where I grew up, in a town called Glen Innes. And it was sold, and it was advertised freely by the council. The council didn't own it, but the council put it up for auction. It was sold for $14,000. So let's look at this for an example. If Bill and Mary used some of this money to buy that property, and it's for $14,000, it's worth $50,000, is that taking a lot of risk on their money? Very little risk in that, isn't it? That's a no-brainer. So just by being prepared for opportunity, knowing how to make a decision, then they could take advantage of things like that. Those opportunities happen how often? All the time, but most people don't know that. And I'm not saying lead that as your only strategy, but they're out there. Okay? That, for instance, is a council default. Okay, where councils, they're doing a lot more now, councils, that they're getting less tolerance. If you don't pay your rates, they'll auction your house. And they use a scare campaign to get people to pay their rates, but often people still don't pay their rates. And you can pick up property cheap. Usually it's only land you'll pick up cheap, but you can also buy houses cheap and things like that. Just as an example, my dad, for instance, I was helping him and I giving some coaching. There was a farm worth around about $1 million near our farm. And in New South Wales, where our farm is, the banks have a habit there, and I don't know whether they have that habit up here, but what they do there is foreclose on farmers. It's one of the bank's hobbies. And they foreclosed on this poor farmer and sold the farm for $180,000. If you understand why they would do that, well, that's about all the banks need to get out of it to cover their bottom line, and $1 million farm was sold for that. And more farmers off the land. I said to my dad, you know, if you're prepared for that opportunity, you could have went in an afternoon's work and bought a farm for $180,000 that's worth $1 million, made $800,000 in an afternoon's work. As I said to Dad, you probably wouldn't be able to live on that, but it should be a good start to your retirement. You know what I'm saying? By being prepared to take advantage of opportunity. Now, some people say, isn't that taking advantage of someone? Well, let's consider it. I think the banks are taking advantage of someone, but that's obviously okay. But could you, and if you're in a position as an investor, could you come along to this farmer and say, look, if you're aware of the situation, I will guarantee I'll take over your payments so the bank can't take the property and sell it like that. And on the condition that we share some of the equity. Could you do that? In other words, you could become a successful investor by helping other people out of their situations. There's no need to be ruthless. Where this ruthless methodology come from, I don't know. There's obviously people out there who do it that way.